Hi, thanks for joining me today on My Child Astrology, where we seek to understand our children better by getting to know their birth chart. I'm Cameron, I'm a mom, and I specialize in interpreting astrology for children. Today we'll talk about the fire element and the sun as it passes through the fire element. So we're going to talk about kids born when the sun was passing through Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius. The four elements are the basic foundation of understanding astrological energies and how they express. The better you're able to understand what fire, earth, air, and water represent, the more easily you will be able to interpret the planets in the 12 signs. The fire element is appropriately the first one. It's the spark that sets the wheel into motion. It is enthusiastic, passionate, and high energy. There's usually lots of motivation, a sense of adventure, and excitement for new experiences. You're probably thinking that this sounds like any kid, regardless of sign, and that's absolutely right. The fire element is the most childlike of them all, and these kids grow into passionate, idealistic adults who are usually able to keep their sense of playfulness and fun. The fire element is all about action and tends to leap without looking, moving headlong into an experience or idea. Hopefully, your fire sign child will have some earth planets to give them endurance and staying power before they move on to the next exciting thing, and or some air planets for objectivity and diplomacy and to help them consider the most rational course of action. Water planets will help suffuse their ideas with heart and sensitivity to their impact on others. Knowing these aspects of your Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius child's chart can help you to assist them in a controlled burn, so to speak, to help them direct their passions lest they run amok and burn everything up. One very important function of fire energy is leadership. These kids want to lead and will take leadership if the adults in their lives do not. So it is very important for parents to step into their power with these kids and be their leader. This can be challenging for more laid-back or gentle personalities. If taking leadership does not come naturally to you, you may end up with a kid who runs all over you. Therefore, you must find or cultivate your own fire to take the lead and give these kids the guidance they need. Somebody has to be in authority, and for obvious reasons, it should be the adult and not the child. These fiery kids will test your mettle. Try to see it as an opportunity to find your power so you can lead with confidence. Remember that fire needs strong boundaries in order to stay contained. You must set and maintain those boundaries for your child. So let's talk about how fire expresses in Aries. Aries is referred to as the infant of the zodiac. In fact, the first 6 signs correlate with human life development. Aries represents the infant, Taurus is the toddler, Gemini the young child, Cancer is the adolescent, Leo represents the teenager or young adult, and Virgo the adult. So your infant and very young child will exhibit Aries qualities no matter what their sun sign is. But your Aries child will retain some of the innocence and, let's be honest, selfishness of infancy throughout their lives. Aries is fire in its spark form. Think of the energy that initiates those dormant seeds to sprout again after a long, cold winter. The sun goes into Aries at the beginning of spring. It is the sign of rebirth, where new beginnings replace what has died and passed away. For this reason, Aries are usually quite brave. There's the courage to get things going and the energy to make things happen. They go off of instinct. Like the first buds of springtime, they're just pure action without much premeditated thought. This gives the blessing of courage and natural leadership ability. Aries usually enjoy taking charge and will present a me-first attitude in most situations. It's not as much in their nature to cater to others, and they don't seek out social approval as much as other signs. Fire energy gives a natural sense of confidence. They seem to know the light they carry and express it freely. As parents, we all know that tricky balance of teaching your child discipline without breaking their spirit. This can be especially challenging with Aries, who is naturally combative. They will butt heads just like the ram. So really, the best way to deal with this intense energy is to give them outlets for it. Physical exercise is important for all children, but fire signs in particular must have it in order to move the energy and keep it from showing up in undesirable ways. Aries is naturally competitive and likes to be the best. They like to win. The very young Aries may not do quite as well with team sports. They are naturally self-directed and just want to lead and do their own thing. But older Aries kids can really benefit from learning teamwork and cooperation. So no matter what particular activities they do, just make sure they get plenty of movement every day. They will sleep better and have less excess energy with which to fuel difficult behavior. Every zodiac sign has a planetary ruler. The sign Aries is ruled by the planet Mars. Mars, of course, is the god of war. It's our action principle and shows how we assert ourselves. Your Aries child's Mars sign, house position, and planetary aspects will give further depth and understanding of your child's unique version of this force to be reckoned with. It will also help you to know how to guide them and help them harness this energy for good. One of the things I love most about astrology is the way that it complements our free will by showing us the positive and negative expressions of a sign or planet's energy. Then we can be armed with the information needed to understand ourselves and the choices we face better. And as parents, we can have greater ability to guide our little ones toward their best selves. So let's talk about the potential expressions of the fiery Aries, starting with the more base negative expressions. Aries is the infant, and as we all probably remember from that first year of parenthood, the infant is only aware of its own needs. And hopefully we understand that is appropriate. They are in survival mode and don't really understand that anyone exists separately from them. The baby has needs at all hours of the day, and they are not concerned about how that affects anyone else. They want what they want, and they want it now. It's all about me, me, me. So selfishness and impatience are typical of Aries, and these kids can be slower to mature. Your Aries baby may carry some of these babyish qualities into later childhood and need guidance about learning give and take with others. They can be pretty alpha and bossy and want to rule the roost, so to speak. Sometimes they will run roughshod over more sensitive, cooperative personalities, and their brash nature can ruffle feathers and alienate others. Aries needs to be taught that we do live in a society and reminded to play well with others. They don't like to take orders or advice, so sometimes you just have to let them learn the hard way by experiencing the lesson. This is the downside of their innocence, seeing that innocence lost to one of life's many impersonal reality checks. Love them through it, let them lick their wounds until the next thing to be excited about comes along. Yes, your little Aries can be a flash in the pan. The flame burns itself out eventually. So as their parent, just trust that the drama will pass. Have them pummel a pillow with their little fists or do 100 jumping jacks. Help them move that intense Mars energy until it subsides. As we all know, temper tantrums are hard on everyone. But try your best not to squelch their release of anger, as that will push it down and add fuel for a future eruption. One thing I've noticed about Aries teenagers and adults even, this self-absorbed energy can create problems for them. When we become overly focused on ourselves, it can lead to or exacerbate depression. Many depressed people report that helping others lifts their spirits. Aries fire can turn into burnout and sadness if they stay too focused on themselves and their needs and desires. It tends to make them focus on what they don't have, which creates a downward spiral. So give your Aries kid opportunities to do good for others. It can be simple, everyday stuff, and this will expand the fire energy to radiate outward rather than snuffing it out when turned in on itself. One important thing to consider, because Aries energy is so pure and words and actions tend to be impulsive, there's generally no malice of forethought involved. This isn't the calculating type. They didn't mean to hurt your feelings. They just weren't thinking when they said or did that. Knowing this may help you to take things a little less personally. They are usually blunt, straight-to-the-point communicators. Sometimes this directness is kind of nice. There's a clarity about it, but they may need some coaching in how to say things politely. Now let's talk about the positive expression of these traits, starting with the onus of that most negative word, selfishness. The upside of selfishness is the ability to recognize one's needs and desires. That is a healthy thing to be encouraged. We know how much trouble not understanding our needs can cause, especially later in life. Aries usually know themselves well and don't get too bogged down with overthinking. This clarity, combined with their high motivation, means that they can make things happen for themselves. As parents and caretakers, if we can help them understand that other people's needs are equally important and teach equitability here, Aries can grow into young people who are capable of great authenticity in staying true to themselves, even in the face of peer pressure. Your Aries youngster is a true individual, and that sense of individuality can serve them very well and keep them on their path. We'll explore the opposite of this when we discuss Libra children, but Aries leadership qualities mean they don't have to be the one who follows along with what everyone else is doing. Their purity can keep them very true to the values that you are teaching them, and their idealistic nature can sometimes be shocked by others who live life differently. That part of them that's so self-focused can be surprised by anything outside of their bubble, and their bubble can be burst pretty easily. This is when you really see the innocence of Aries. They are shocked by anything they see that's outside of their own moral code. So be sure to give your Aries child clear moral guidance in whatever way that is true for you and your family. They will take the torch and lead others with it rather than being led. They will let that fire guide and inspire them. An Aries child who has behavioral issues due to some kind of trauma may lack a moral compass and lead themselves and peers down the wrong path. These children need lots of patience and love and clear examples of right and wrong. A wayward alpha Aries needs a loving alpha adult to show them the way. Don't be afraid to alpha dog your Aries when they're acting up, ideally with whatever patience you can muster. Any true leader was once led. They respect strength and will usually fall into line when approached this way. So I mentioned you needing patience. You need it to lead by example because your Aries is not the patient type. They live in the now and want things to happen in the now. This is true of most children, but Aries will have a tougher time learning to wait. It will be a matter of maturity and teaching them to intentionally make peace with waiting. And hopefully, eventually, they at least learn to fake it. So hopefully this gives you a good overall sense of Aries, the spark that kicks off the entire zodiac. You will learn more about your Aries kid when we go through Mars and all of the signs. This will tell you a lot about the kind of Aries you have. So without further ado, let's give Leo their due. If Aries is the spark, Leo is the fire fully ablaze. It is the fire that warms up the hearth or the campsite, the one that lights up the darkness and draws people to it. Leos are usually known for their warmth and sunny disposition. But here's the thing, that fire has to be tended to. It will burn out if ignored. You have to add another log and fan its flames so you can continue to enjoy that warmth and light. As a person, Leo is no different. They need your attention and your approval. They need to be regarded, and the more highly regarded, the better. You know how mesmerizing a fire can be, how you can't take your eyes off of it? Leo charisma really can fill a room, and they are often drawn to the performance arts so that all eyes can be on them. Leo is ruled by the sun, so it is the most comfortable and natural place for the sun to be. Since the sun represents our self-expression, ego, and conscious awareness, you have a child that is naturally very self-expressive. And unlike the more primal urge expression of Aries, they need you to listen and validate their expressions. Look at me. This can be exhausting, of course, but just try to remember that you are laying the foundation for a healthy ego that hopefully won't need it as much later in life. With every story you listen to, every dance move you watch, every outfit or costume you compliment, you are providing invaluable ego security to your Leo child. I promise you it will pay off as they grow and have the confidence to express their gifts to others, who can helpfully do some of the watching, listening, oohing, and awing for you. Leo's need for external approval, validation, celebration even, can be kept in balance by a healthy self-esteem. A Leo that has true self-acceptance will be able to fill their own cup from time to time and be warm and supportive of others as well. The Leo warmth that exudes from them is a beautiful quality, and they are usually quite affectionate by nature. So the more demonstrative you can be with them, hugs, kisses, affirmations, the better. There's a helpful book called The 5 Love Languages of Children. You may be familiar with the original version of that book for adults. Reading the kid version can give you some insights into understanding the ways in which your child feels most loved. I definitely recommend this book to any parent, but especially parents of Leos. Tend to their fire to keep it ablaze. So, back to discussing free will in operation. What are some of the negative expressions of Leo energy? Well, just as the sun lights up the whole sky, Leo can take up a lot of space. It's all about me, and they can cast a big shadow over others around them. They are sometimes accused of being attention hogs. This can lead to a tendency to take everything personally, because if it's all about them, that includes anything that happens that they don't like. And similar to Aries fire turned in on itself, this can create a moping, depressive lion. They can be very thin-skinned and easily offended. It's very important to them to feel respected, so they're very sensitive to slights, real or perceived. Having everything revolve around you can be exhausting, so they need to be gently reminded that it's not about you, that person's just having a bad day, or they're going through something hard. Appeal to their empathy to take the focus off of them and feeling like it's their fault. Leos have such big hearts that empathy can be a natural way out of their interpersonal conflicts. Sharing the spotlight and taking turns can be hard for them to learn. They have a natural sense of entitlement that must be guided to take others into consideration. This is where their need for approval can be quite useful. Give Leo lots of praise for good, polite behavior. When they feel admired for doing good and being generous with others, it's a powerful way to influence their behavior. I really can't stress this enough. Use positive reinforcement as much as possible with Leo. And be very aware of your tone of voice with these kids. Speaking to them in a condescending way will humiliate them and create more serious behavior issues over time. This sign is very prideful and wants respect. A disrespected Leo is very unpleasant to be around, so model the polite behavior that you'd like to see in them. I want to interject that this advice applies to any sign of the zodiac, any aged person in every life circumstance. Astrology can remind us that our human needs are all the same, even if we have different pathways to getting them met. Now let's turn our focus to the positive expressions of Leo energy, of which there are many. The grand nature of their expression makes them very generous people, and more than that, truly magnanimous people. A Leo with healthy self-esteem usually gives others the benefit of the doubt and assumes the best about people in life. They have huge hearts and give as much affection as they like to receive. Remember how we talked about their big capacity for empathy? Well, it's a really beautiful thing that Leos can empathize with others as they are empathizing with themselves. A lot of times people will empathize with others at the expense of themselves. We can use empathy to make excuses for others behaving badly and accept poor treatment as a result. Not Leo. Their inherent sense of self-worth means they know they deserve respect, so they can be compassionate with others while not letting themselves be taken advantage of. This is a great example of healthy ego boundaries, which is the true gift of a balanced Leo. By all means, let us encourage this in our Leo children and take some lessons from it ourselves. Another thing to know about this grand, occasionally boastful sign, they are usually big softies. Think of the roaring lion who minutes later becomes the purring cat offering you his belly. Leo anger is usually spectacular yet short-lived. They can be quite dramatic when angry, but if you have validated their feelings, then they will usually return to sweetness soon enough, even if they didn't get what they wanted. They return to the generous sense that they have that everything will be okay. The sign of Leo rules the heart, and I find that they are usually able to take heart when things are tough. If you can consistently show your Leo child kindness and respect, and to pay attention to their performances, you will have a purring kitten more often than not. So our last fire sign is Sagittarius, the archer shooting arrows out into the distance. If Aries is the spark and Leo the campfire, Sagittarius is wildfire. It's the fire that spreads far and wide, wanting to cover as much territory as possible. Sagittarius is a communicator, and these kids often have a message to share. They can be quite opinionated and expressive, and even very young Sages are apt to think they know it all. There's usually a great curiosity and thirst for information. These kids love to learn and are often enthusiastic students. It's like they come into the world knowing it's bigger than they are and set about exploring it. This is your potential roamer or wanderer. They can get away from you in crowded places as they chase those arrows into the distance. Their exuberance is boundless, so be sure to give them clear boundaries and structure and be consistent in enforcing them. Sagittarius tend to push people's boundaries because it's in their nature to move beyond restraints. You will need to be clear about what your boundaries are and maintain them firmly. The saying, give them an inch and they'll make a mile, was probably inspired by a Sag. They often must be taught to respect other people's limits because other people deserve freedom too. And our personal boundaries are a reflection of our own free will. Pushing people's limits may cause your Sagittarius some interpersonal conflict, so guidance is needed here. This little one is often born with a travel bug and loves new places and adventures. If your budget doesn't allow for much travel, travel together with good books and movies. They will love learning about different cultures and countries. It's a big, exciting world out there to explore. They have a naturally enthusiastic and optimistic nature. If you think about it, there would be no exploring without those two qualities. You have to believe in something good on that distant horizon and move your energy in that direction. The potential downside to this, one of the negative expressions of Sagittarius energy, is recklessness and carelessness. They take the big picture approach to life and miss important details sometimes. It's good to give them a focal point upon which to aim those arrows so their energy doesn't burn indiscriminately. For this reason, organized sports are very beneficial for Sag children. It gives them structure and a container for expressing all of that energy. Like each of the fire signs, Sagittarius has abundant physical energy that needs an outlet, and they have a natural sense of morality that gives them good sportsmanship. They usually understand being taught to play fair and are okay sharing the limelight with their teammates. Whereas Aries may be focused on winning and Leo wants to be the star player, Sagittarius enjoys being part of a team. They seem to understand the power of collective effort, and later in life may organize groups of people around a common goal. These are the activists who truly want to make the world a better place as they see fit. This is where that strong moral code can be a double-edged sword. Sagittarius can be quite righteous. They can become very attached to their belief systems and want to spread the word like wildfire. As we know, this can alienate those with different beliefs, so you may need to have early conversations with your Sag about respecting different points of view. If tolerance becomes a part of their personal code of ethics, you will have a very broad-minded person able to listen to many viewpoints. But if a rigid mindset takes hold, this proselytizing crusader may end up driving you and everyone else nuts. But because Sagittarius is ruled by the planet of expansion, Jupiter, it is in their nature to be pretty generous with others. Like Leo, they can be quite magnanimous. Sagittarius does seem to thrive in organized systems that provide structure for their passionate beliefs. There are often spiritual seekers who are drawn to organized religion as a way of putting their passions into practice. Whether or not they preach from the pulpit or the picket lines is their choice. These kids not only gather information, but also search for meaning in it. So they will ask the big questions at an early age and will be eager to hear your answers. It's a good idea to think about your own beliefs and what you want to teach them. This is a child who truly wants to do the right thing, so appeal to that part of their nature when they need guidance or discipline. Because Sagittarius is the truth seeker looking for answers, they often have an honest nature. This is one reason why it's important to give them the truth when they ask those big questions. Of course, you have to make it age appropriate, but it's still best to be straightforward with a Sag. They can usually handle it and they will appreciate it. The downside of their honest nature is that they tend to be rather blunt communicators. They will tell you if your new haircut looks funny, or they may blurt out something unkind about the person in line in front of you at the grocery store. The phrase "no filter" was probably invented by someone who loves a Sag. Here we see another form that carelessness and recklessness can take. These kids will have to learn to be more sensitive to others' feelings. A spoonful of sugar helps the medicine go down, so to speak. The last important thing I want to convey about Sagittarius kids is that they have a pronounced need for freedom that will last their entire lives. A helicopter type of parent can stifle their need for exploration and cause restless and rebellious behavior. While your young Sag does need a leash, give them a long one. Let them explore and choose the boundaries you give them thoughtfully. We all know the saying, pick your battles. So with Sagittarius, it is good to pick your boundaries. You may end up with a scuba diving, rock climbing world traveler who keeps you up at night with worry, but that grateful youngster will come home with some wonderful stories to share. So this just scratches the surface of the sun in fire signs. Of course, there's so much more to say. But in general, they all share a high energy, enthusiastic nature and need to express themselves freely. They can be an inspiration to others with their warmth and radiance. We will discuss how all of the personal planets express through the fire element in future episodes. So stay tuned to learn more about the Moon, Mercury, Venus, Mars, and Jupiter in these signs. I hope you find this information helpful and relevant, but remember that you know your child best, so take what resonates for you and leave the rest. And share with us in the comments how your fire sign kid warms up your life. See you next time.